to the people of Brooks County and to the little city of Quitman. Have you ever heard of a place called Negro Branch? No, you haven't. Yet, they want to make you believe that there was a branch over in Quitman back in the days of segregation and slavery that was called Negro Branch. If you go to Brooks County and you ask anybody about Negro Branch, they couldn't give you direction to it to save their lives. We understand it was published in the newspaper that some representative changed the name of a branch west of Quitman from Negro Branch to Pride Branch. The children at the school, we understand, was the ones who forced our elected officials to at least change the name of that branch. So if you go west of Quitman, like you're going into Boston, you'll see that branch. And you'll see the name Pride Branch on it. And if you watch and read the newspapers and television clippings, you will say that was history. Some child will actually do a paper probably one day on Negro Branch. But it's just like the news that are suppressed and abated here in Valdosta. Just like the Mary Turner memorial service we had on near Folsom Bridge over there. 105 vehicle car motorcade. And nothing was published in the paper about it. So when people go back and do research, and they think this is a time capsule, and they think that this is record what takes place in your community. That's why people refer to the newspaper. But there's nothing that they can find of when we first went out to Folsom Bridge to erect a cross in her memory of this black lady that was murdered during the week of terror. And so the archival record would be forever lost. Now back to Negro Branch. I'm here to contend that there was never a Negro Branch in Brooks County. I don't care what they publish in the newspaper. I do not care what they have ran on TV or radio or the lies they tell. My grandmother died, but before she died, she told us the history of South Georgia. And we knew the name of that branch. It was named Nigger Branch. Everybody know Nigger Branch in Quitman. People that don't even live in Quitman know of Nigger Branch because they lynched blacks in Brooks County, the home of the Quitman 10. They lynched them in front of the Brooks County Courthouse and took them west of the course. My grandmama said they put them on the back of a wagon and threw them in Nigger Branch. Now there's no need of trying to hide the history. You go to Quitman and you'll see sons of the Confederates and daughters of the Confederate historical markers all around the place, and they should have that. You come to Valdosta, you'll see sons of Confederate and all of this, and they should have that because it's history. But don't tell me that the tree did not fall in the forest or that the forest don't exist. When I used to have to go over Nigger Branch to go home 9 miles west of Quitman, not far from the Livingston Plantation. That's where I was brought up as a child. So don't tell me that it was called Negro Branch. It was Nigger Branch. Everybody knows that. And so without the news being reported in South Georgia, we're going to get a lot more lies and untruths. And we're going to go further and further and further away from the God you dip with. Duplicate, imitate, and placate. Because Jesus said in St. John 8:32, if it is correct, and ye shall know the truth, and only the truth will set you free. And so unless we have truth, our children will be learning an outdated and incorrect history. So this is why I do what I do, because I truly, truly love you. You cannot love God unless you love truth. And you can't love truth unless you love God. And what you see me do every day, I don't do it to go to heaven. I know some of you do what you do to go to heaven. I do good because I love to do good. I try to treat my brothers and sisters right because I just love doing it. So even if there is not a heaven, if there is not a God, I'm still gonna do right because I just love doing right. And above all, it's just right to do right. You know what I mean? Thank you for listening. Tell somebody else about this channel. After all, there are very few of us who remember Joel the 2nd chapter. Joel the 2nd chapter say, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, sound an alarm in the holy mountains. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, and is nigh at hand. And when the day of the Lord cometh, truth will come in with him, and all lies and wickedness will vanish, because falsehood is forever a vanishing thing.